Hello and welcome to my channel When the Stars Aligned. My name is Kelly and this video today is about human design generators and more specifically finding your life path, finding your calling, finding your purpose. Now, I personally wouldn't say it's about finding your life path or finding your purpose. I think it's about remembering it. I think it's about feeling it come alive in your own heart. It's about reclaiming that which already exists within you. There is a lot of talk and a lot of information and a lot of ideologies and spiritual ideologies around what purpose is. And it can so quickly become this really grandiose thing. So in this video, I want to take you through a few tips and offer some grounded guidance of how you can utilize your human design type to really understand and come home and remember what purpose means to you and what may lead you to remembering your life path. So if you are a generator in human design, you might know that you have an incarnation that is all about discovering who you really are. And this is a joy that generators can experience. There can be a joy in that of who am I and what is it that makes me come alive? What is it that makes me light up? What is it that makes me feel connected to the pulse of life, to the, I would say, the eros of life, this spirited, alive, electric nature of life that we all, regardless of our astrology or human design, have access to. But I believe that the archetype of generators energetically, we carry this capacity to really emulate that spark of life. And this can get really diluted into base terminology of work, and generators are the workers, or they're the worker bees, or they just have so much energy to just get things done all day. That's not the truth. If I have met many generators who are not satisfied in life and their work depletes them and drains them and it doesn't feel fulfilling and they don't have all the energy in the world. So what it really comes down to is not just the output of energy and energy as effort and efforting and work and action and productivity. It's energy as a sacred life force. It's energy as remembering that you are connected to something so much bigger than you. And when I, see a lit up generator, it's like they have this ball of sun inside of them. And there are certain ways that we can move through the world and ways that we can engage with life as generators to kind of turn on, to tap into that internal sun, which is an emanation of, you could say, the larger purpose of life, or creator at play, or source at play, or the universe at play, whatever you want to call it. So this might all sound kind of far-fetched, but there is an energy state you can tap into as a generator that when you exist from this space, you're not even questioning what your purpose is. You're not even questioning what your path is because you feel alive. You feel turned on from the inside out. You have turned on that switch of your internal sun and you are aroused to life. You are connected to that sacred pulse of life. You are connected to the innocent, natural eros of life, the spirited life force of expansion, of creation, of fertility, whether it's to build a family, whether it's to build a garden, whether it's to build your body, whether it's to build an art piece or a music piece or a business or a company or a garden, it could be anything, but it's this ability to be so tapped into that gestational, generative, fertile, creative state. So what is that? What does it look like? Well, I really want to go into that first because to me, that's what purpose is, especially for generators. Purpose is not found through you honing in on one isolated focus or you taking on a certain job title. I think that's a way that patriarchy and, the capitalistic, consumer-oriented, money-spending culture has really narrowed our mindscapes. Seeing purpose as a vocational title. Purpose is not a vocational title. Your vocational title can be something that is connected to your purpose and feeds into your purpose. But your purpose is your energy. How true and alive and tapped in and turned on is your energy. Because you could be doing a job or doing a role or a position, but if your energy's not in it, it's very quickly going to rob you of your heart. It's going to rob you of your heartfulness. It's going to rob you of your spiritedness and rob you of your energy. We are not here to just be associated with a title or a status or a monetary number or a position. I believe on a spiritual level, we are here to be identified with the truthful expression of our soul, and stepping into that in a way that it can illuminate your own journey in life and things you're here to learn in and grow in, but also offer good back to the world, offer good back to the community, which is only ever going to happen when you're living from that spiritedness, when you're living from that soulfulness. And that looks different for each and every one of us. It's not like, oh, if you're a generator, your purpose is to do X kind of job. It's not that basic, even if our capitalistic narratives, that a lot of us have been brainwashed with, would like to assume that. So how do you know? How can you tap into that state of the internal sun as a generator? The first thing you're going to want to do is detach, which is not always the easiest thing to do, and I might have to make a whole separate video on this. I truly believe and have experienced in clients that I've worked with that detachment is usually a first step on the journey of deconditioning. Deconditioning, this is a term that's used a lot in human design rhetoric, and it's unlearning who you were taught to be, or who the world taught you to be, or society taught you to be, or your parents taught you to be, or a partner taught you to be, and coming home to your true essence, who you were born to be, your natural state of beingness, because that's where the purpose lies. The purpose does not lie from your conditioning or within your conditioning. It lies deep within who you really are. So in order to find out who you really are, you have to let go of who you're not. And that's easier said than done. I think that it'd be nice to think that, we could do that on our own and, snap of a fingers, but it's a little harder than that. And I have found that detachment, practicing active detachment, intentional detachment, is such a powerful way to start to make that journey home to your heart and home to your true sense of purpose in life. So how can you practically do this? Question your own certainties, especially if your certainties have you mentally ruminating a lot, right? Maybe you have some certainties around what your purpose is, or what you feel like you need to do, or where you should be in life, or all of the things, right? If you feel like there's a pressure on something mentally, that is where you want to practice detachment and ask a curious question. Embrace it with the compassionate inquiry instead of, well, what if that isn't true? What if it is? I don't really know. What if my purpose is something I haven't even thought of yet? What if I dream about my purpose tonight? What if I go on a walk tomorrow and I bump into someone and all of a sudden it dawns on me, what if it's not that at all? Because what happens when we practice detachment, it's not about becoming ambivalent and aloof and lazy. It's about becoming spiritually fit. We have to be spiritually fit, meaning we have to have the willingness to detach from our own convictions that might not actually be serving us. And when we can surrender up some of our rigidity, especially if there's a rigidity or a pressure around what is my purpose, if you can practice softening and surrendering that and becoming more adept, becoming more receptive to, what you might not have even thought of yet. You have to enter into that state of receptivity. And practicing detachment, practicing curiosity allows, I have found, a spaciousness of the mind, which is so important for generators, because I would say of all of the types, we are the least successful when we're operating from our mind. Projectors can get away with it, because they're quite penetrating, and it's really good for them to be focused on systems and efficiency and reading the energy. Manifestors can, they need that because they're the visionary, they're calling the shot, they're initiating. Maybe reflectors are right there with us, but as a generator, it's you really have to listen to your body. And I think a lot of generators sell themselves short on what could be quite an easy remembering, because there's so much mental rumination and more information taken in that the deep body wisdom isn't consulted, and it's not even given space for the answer to come. So you really want to detach first. And if you find yourself getting in that stressful state, that rigid state, or that hyper convicted state, even if it's a little bit righteous, even if it's a little bit, I like to call it like a conscious bow. It's got like a pretty conscious bow on it. You're like, oh, but that's a good rumination for me to be in because I really care and I'm conscious, right? Like all that stuff. Surrender it, detach, and get curious. Okay, I don't know. That could be it. Maybe it's not. I'm not sure. Maybe it's something I haven't even thought of yet. Maybe it's going to blow my mind away. What if it's even better than I could have thought? Let it go. Because secondly, what this does, and this is leading into the second tip, when you embrace that kind of mental narrative, the somatic, so like the bodily impact, the physical impact it has on your frame, on your posture, on your energetic posture, is that it puts you into response mode. And as a generator, you need to respond to life. You're not going to remember your purpose by running after a lot of different things, or chasing down doors, or seeking out the counsel of, every psychic and their cousin, or every astrology map, or every business guru, right? It's like you have to be responsive. And responsiveness is a somatic experience. It's a state of being in your body. And how do we get to a state of responsiveness? There has to be a healthy level of detachment and openness, so that you even have the freedom to respond, and you're not just operating on a repetitive mechanism or a mental rigidity or a, perceived idea of what you should do next to get to where you want to go. So that's the second tip. These are all kind of flowing into each other. Now, the third thing I would love to share about aligning with your life path as a generator is it is the thing that, or the way of being, that lights you up from the inside out. And a place where I've gotten to grow with this a lot, and it's one of my favorite ways to work with my one-on-one clients or in my in-depth comprehensive readings, if people specifically want to understand more about their, like their path in life. Like, what is the true path of their soulfulness in life? Like, what is it that really speaks to them on a deep level? Because we can all forget. We can all go through periods of forgetting. But looking for those glimmers, looking for those nectar moments, looking for the nectar of life where you just feel like flooded with warmth and aliveness and electricity and a sense of, wow, I am living in a healthy way, right? Not something that's harmful to your body or your energy or distortive or destructive or unsustainable, but something where you feel so deeply connected to something bigger than you. Now, I could give some examples, and maybe they could spur on some of your own. There are a few ways that I, over my whole life, and I think this can change depending on the centers you have defined in your chart. So if you want active, embodied, comprehensive support on a high-level plane in understanding your chart, I offer really powerful human design readings where we go on a comprehensive journey into the nitty-gritty of your chart, and I get into all of the bits and details and also utilize my own perspective as a 6'2", Scorpio stellium woman to really intuitively read your chart and the story of your chart and the archetypes of your chart. So if you want to know more about that, you can check out the link in the description. But for me, one way that I've always felt connected, so what I was going to say is if you have, for example, like a defined G center, you might notice that how you tap into a state of purpose and life path is something that like has been with you since you were a kid, because that G center has a very strong directional path to it. It's connected to the magnetic monopole. So there's a sense of like a GPS, like you're being driven somewhere and your gut knows where it's going. Even if your mind doesn't know, it's like you will feel it in your solar plexus. It's like a deep inner knowing. Whereas if you don't have the G center defined, that sense of soulfulness and life path could be something that it shape shifts in a way, and it's not so much about the specific activities or the direction, it's more about like a state of being that you're in. So those are some nuances that I really love to get into with my one-on-one clients that I can't really go into in this YouTube video. It's just, I would need so much more time and space and specifics. So for me, I have always had that inner sun activate within me and a very strong sense of connection to my soul and my direction in life and my path in life when I'm in nature. So when I detach, become really receptive, empty out my vessel, it's kind of like I feel like I'm becoming hollow when I detach. And that's the thing that's really important with detachment work. Looping back to point one, this is how my brain works. I have a channel of structuring, so things come through the way they're supposed to, but it always comes together. So stay on the train with me. Hang in there. Going back to point one, sometimes when people hear the word detachment, I think it can bring up this sense that it's like, oh, I just don't care, and I'm just moving on to something else. You know, it's almost like this ambivalence or this aloofness or this like rejection. It's like, oh, I'm just going to detach. To me, detachment means something very different. It means detaching from the mind that thinks it knows. So it's entering more of a receptive state in my consciousness of, show me life. I don't know. Trevor Hall, an artist that I love, there's a line in his song that always comes to my mind when I know I need to drop more into receptive mode and responsive mode. And it's, what I know is that I don't know. And Landmark also talks a lot about that for any Landmark people out here. But you don't know what you don't know, right? So what I know is that I don't know. And when I embrace that I don't know, and I even let myself maybe get a little excited about that, right? Generator energy, like satisfaction and excitement, can take us a long way. Even if we're in the pits of life, even if we're in a really hard place, if you healthfully detach and become like a hollow bamboo, right? Like hollowed out like a bamboo. I don't know. I don't know, life. Show me. Surprise me. What you got for me? When I do that in nature, so much comes to me. And I'm not like expecting it to come. I'm not there strategizing it, but I have to let go. And then this deep inner knowing comes through that corrects me onto my path. And it's not always in very tangible ways, like, you know, a big monumental business move to make or a big monumental life move to make. Sometimes it's just in the subtleties, and I get this insight around how I need to kind of shift up my patterns or shift up my habits and routines to better align to my true path, right? My soulfulness moving through me in the world. So nature is a big one for me. Dancing is also a huge one for me, especially more sensual embodiment, like really feeling my body and moving emotions through my body and moving feelings through my body. When I let myself enter that state, even though at times I have felt like it's a little taboo or people take it the wrong way or I've felt a little nervous about being judged, when I allow myself to slip into that state of moving emotion and energy through my body takes over. I'm not thinking, oh, I need to move my arm this way, or I need to move my hips that way. I'm allowing my soul to move through my body, my soulfulness to move through my body, which then calibrates me to hear what I need to hear and to receive what I need to receive. And I think people have very different ways of doing this. For some people, it could be music. For some people, it could be writing. For some people, it could be having heartfelt conversations. For some people, it could be through working with the land, right? And maybe I'll add on a fourth point. So that was the third point, is finding the thing that like lets you become something so much bigger than yourself, lets you melt into something bigger than yourself, and giving yourself to that, letting yourself lean into that. It's I would say that's a mastery level for generators. Now the fourth thing is, I guess it kind of feeds into the third, right? It's like it has to be physical. It really does. I think that to connect with your sense of your path in life and your purpose in life as a generator, it's going to come from you being in a state of embodiment. It's going to come from you being in a state of like a physical experience that's allowing you to feel a deeper truth for your life because your body is engaged in gardening or walking or dancing or writing or having a deep moment of like presence with someone else and communicating, right? It's like that ability to be really physically in your body is what helps you hear more clearly as a generator. It's not only going to come from sitting and writing. It's not only going to come from sitting and thinking or asking people a bunch of questions about what you should do. Typically, that will probably just lead to messes that you have to clean up or temporary results. So I just wanted to come on and share this little recording, and I would love to hear your thoughts and how this resonated for you and what you took away from it. And if you are wanting support on your journey, I would love nothing more than to be your guide, your ally in transformation and soulful purpose in life. I love working one-on-one with clients, and I currently have one-on-one sessions or a package of sessions if you want to really dive deep and make some lasting transformation in your life, in your business, in your relationship. So reach out to me at the links below. And yeah, I would love to hear in the show notes if you want to share a comment on something that you're going to take away from this and implement. And hope to catch you on the next recording. Okay, lots of love. Bye.